So, does ChatGPT scan your conversations? The short answer is yes, they do. But here's the part that most people don't realize. Nearly every major platform you use does something similar. And that's what we're unpacking today on Open Tabs with Attorney Danielle. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Attorney Danielle, and I cover all things tech, policy, law, and culture. And today we are diving into a viral claim that has everyone talking. Does OpenAI actually scan your ChatGPT conversations and report them to the police? Well, let's talk about this from the beginning, okay? The claim caught fire after an Instagram post boldly declared OpenAI now scans users' ChatGPT conversations and reports contents to the police. The comment section was full of rage and panic and disbelief because for many, the idea that a private chat with an AI assistant could end up in the hands of law enforcement sounded like science fiction brought to life. But the truth, as always, is just more complicated than that. ChatGPT does have scanning mechanisms in place, but so do Google, Meta, TikTok, and nearly every other digital platform. The difference is not whether scanning actually happens, but under what circumstances that information leaves the company and reaches the authorities. To understand OpenAI's role here, you first have to understand what scanning looks like in practice. Yes, ChatGPT conversations are monitored through automated systems that flag content falling into specific categories. Things like child sexual exploitation, credible threats of violence, or instructions on how to commit illegal acts. But here's the nuance that gets lost in these dramatic headlines. The vast majority of flagged content never leaves OpenAI. Automated filters detect potential violations, and in more serious cases, a human reviewer might step in. Only in very limited circumstances, typically imminent danger or categories where the law requires reporting, does anything get escalated to law enforcement. So, what does that mean? That means that your questions about recipes, study notes, or even edgy humor are not being sent to the FBI. Reporting only happens when there is a legal or safety obligation that makes ignoring the content impossible. Now, OpenAI is not unique with these type of situations. As I stated before, Meta has been scanning Facebook Messenger, Instagram, and Facebook posts for years, particularly for child sexual abuse material, which is automatically reported to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Google scans Gmail attachments and Drive content for the same reason. And there are documented cases where users' private Gmail photos were flagged and escalated. YouTube and TikTok deploy similar systems to detect terrorism related content, hate speech, and even signals of self harm, and they too escalate when necessary. But I guess the difference is perception. On a platform like Facebook or TikTok, users expect moderation. They know their posts are public or semi public, but when the same rules apply to private feeling spaces like email or AI chatbots, it feels like an intrusion, even though the underlying logic is the same. And I get that. Now, this brings us to the real legal backbone of the issue, the terms of service and privacy policies you agree to every time you sign up for a platform. Most people scroll right past them, hit the accept button, and never look back. But that's where the rules live. Almost every major platform includes language that says something like this. We do not share personal information with third parties except to comply with legal obligations, enforce our terms, or protect the safety and rights of users. That single sentence is the key. It gives companies the contractual authority to report your content when the stakes are high. And OpenAI policies say the same thing. They emphasize that they don't sell your data, but they reserve the right to share it when required to follow the law, enforce their policies, or protect people's safety. This means the question isn't whether companies can share that information. You've already granted them that permission. The real question is how they exercise that permission, how narrowly they define safety and compliance with the law, and how transparent they are with users about when reporting actually happens. And that is where the tensions lie. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about whether scanning exists. It's about what it means for the balance between privacy and safety. Users often believe that private means invisible, but in the digital world, privacy always comes with exceptions. Companies disclose these exceptions, but they often do it in dense legal language most people never even read. And that creates a gap. People assume that they are having a private conversation while the fine print tells them a different story. And for everyday users, this disconnect can often lead to feelings of betrayal or shock when stories like the Instagram post go viral. For policymakers, it may raise the question of whether these exceptions are too broad. Is complying with the law a clear standard, or is it a catch-all that gives companies far too much discretion? I think it's settled, but these are questions that I want to bring to your attention. And for communities that are already heavily surveilled and policed, the risk of misinterpretation or bias flagging are even higher. But we'll talk about that in another video. Because once flagged content leaves the platform and reaches law enforcement, we are no longer talking about platform policy. We are in another playing field that is largely outside of the platform's control. So, again, does ChatGPT report you to the police? I mean, I guess the answer could be yes, but only in very limited, legally defined situations. In my humble opinion, if you are not trying to search for content that will get you in trouble or to catch a predator, you are okay. If you are not trying to ask ChatGPT how to make an illegal drug, you are okay. If you are not asking for instructions on how to unalive someone, I think you are okay if none of that is in your chats. Because ChatGPT is not watching your every prompt and forwarding them to the authorities. But it is also not a completely private, sealed off space. So I need you guys to remember that. Like every platform, OpenAI reserves the right and sometimes has an obligation to escalate harmful content. That's the trade-off written into the terms you accepted when you started using the platform. So all in all, I'm saying, be careful, you guys. Read the fine print, know your rights, and think critically about how these tools shape your lives, for better or for worse. And lastly, to put it plainly, don't be dumb. Okay? Use the platform for legitimate purposes and nothing bad will happen to you. That is all for this video. If you found this video helpful, hit the like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me your thoughts on this situation with ChatGPT. And while you're here, make sure you check out my podcast, The Miseducation of Technology, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and now right here on YouTube. And if you would like to support this work directly, you can visit my website, attorneydanielle.ai, for more resources, or you can contribute to my Buy Me a Coffee page at buymeacoffee.com/Attorney Danielle to help fund independent tech policy research and content. Every bit of support helps me break down how technology, law, and culture intersect and how it all impacts our everyday lives. Because as I always say, technology may have been miseducated, but you do not have to be. So I'll see you next time on Open Tabs with Attorney Danielle. Bye.